Many old friends. We have shared a good journey together so far in this life. So fortunate. So since there are many old friends here, we can start by turning one's heart towards our object of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and induce the mind of love, compassion, and bodhicitta. So we can recite the refuge prayer in Tibetan 3 times. Sangye chedam sogi cho la janshu badu dagni kyab suji dagi jin sogi beso nam ki dola pencha sangye dubashu sangye chedam sogi cho nam la janshu badu dagni kyab suji dagi jin sogi beso nam ki Dola pencha sangye dubasho sangye chodam sogi chonam janchu vadu dagni kyab suchi dagi jin sogi besonam ki dola pencha sangye dubasho. So we have gathered here tonight with the motivation to open even further our heart and to cultivate our aspiration to discover the clear light nature of our mind for the sake of all living beings. So many of us here, we are Dharma brothers and sisters, and many of us even are Vaja brothers and sisters. So there's a deep bond in our heart that links us all together. All this is due to the kindness of our Vajaguru, Lama Yeshe, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And they did all this work due to the inspiration of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So these three are our spiritual fathers, mentors, and so much more. And why they created center around the world, why this created land of medicine Buddha, as for bringing happiness to all living beings, to teach them that the happiness is not found outside, but the happiness is found in our heart. All right. So I was asked to say a few words about how to find the inner guru, or how to connect to one's own inner wisdom. Since Lama Zopa Rinpoche passed away now a little bit more than a year ago. So for many students, it has been a little bit puzzling or a little bit challenging, because Lama Zopa Rinpoche wasn't an ordinary spiritual teacher, in the sense that, yes, he taught Dharma, he gave initiation, commentary, and taught the traditional Dharma, but also people would check with him about their personal practice. So not just the Dharma in general, but he would guide each student individually according to their past life, according to their psychological makeup, according to their subtle body. So he would really guide each student according to his or her need. So that was peculiar. And also people would write to him from all over the world, and he would try to find a time to answer. So sometimes he would take a few days to get an answer, and sometimes a few months. But hopefully at the end, one would get an answer. And then people would ask questions about, should I move in with this boyfriend or that boyfriend? You know, do I go into this business or that business? Or if they had court case, they would ask Lama which practice to do to win the court case. So he had a multifunction, right? He would, yeah. And then if a relative would be sick or dying, so they would request him to do prayers and help, the consciousness to go to a good place after death, or which practice to do, or which doctor to choose, So if there was surgery, should I take this surgeon or that surgeon? So it was very, Lama Zopa Rinpoche had ways of helping in so many dimensions. So in that sense, he was more than just an ordinary spiritual teacher. So when he passed away, of course, first it was a little bit a shock, because it was um, sudden, it was unexpected. So suddenly student felt, oh, wow. Mm. And for many people, because they were so they relied so much on Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So when he was gone, it was really an end for an era, end of, yeah, for some students was very, very difficult. And then he didn't leave a successor, the organization, he didn't appoint a successor, for the organization. So, so the way forward as an organization is also a little bit unclear. So everybody hopes that Lama Zopa Rinpoche comes back quickly and, manifest again as he did in his past life. And, within maybe 10, 20 years, he might, um, yeah, continue the job, the mission that he started. So we as students know, so how is the way forward, right? So I think our situation is a little bit similar as the disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha, right? So when he was about to pass away, the student asked, who shall be your successor? Who do we appoint as regent or as a successor of the lineage? Who shall we rely on? If we have questions, who shall we ask? And the Buddha said, the refuge for you now is the Dharma, right? So that's your refuge. No, so I don't appoint any successor. It is nobody you have to ask question to. Everything is in the teaching I gave you all these years. So now it's up to you to actualize this teaching and get the realization and then pass it on from generation to generation. So that was how the Buddha said, right? And Lama Zopa Rinpoche was a little bit similar, the last few years of his life. He wasn't so much interested in making new center or new student, things like that. His wish was for all students to gain realization, right? So that they become lamps and share that with others, right? So, so I think all of us, all students, have a responsibility in that sense, right? That we have to gain the realization and then pass it on to the next generation. So that's why I think he created in this country land of calm abiding and Buddha Amitabha Pure Land, right? Was for people who have a place that want to do longer retreat to get some realization, to have a place where they can meditate. But I think all of us know in whatever lifestyle or whatever stage of our life we are, no? I would say there's two category of students. There's the old students, the ones not old in age, but old in having received many teachings and initiation and practices. So they don't have a more question to ask. They just need to actualize what they already have received. Right? It's just a matter of actualizing the realization of the Lamrim and the two tantric stage. No, it's not. You don't need more information. We have all the information we need. It's just a matter of actualizing them. We all have this Buddha nature. We all have this pure heart of clear light, right? So we just need to awaken it. and we can all do it. Uh, it's not something difficult. It's not something impossible, because our mind is fundamentally pure. And each time we die, we actually experience this pure nature of our mind. Right? Each time we die, we go into the clear light. Right? So it's there, the seed is there. Right? And there are all these wonderful meditation that we have to actually open that heart and experience this clear light. And I would say for the student that are medium age student, and they have a connection with Lama Zopa Rinpoche because they met him and they feel he's somebody important in their life. Then there's all these teachings, this library of teaching he gave over 50 years. So there's all this archive from um, wisdom archive from Nick Ribush that collected them. So there's all this video and all this transcript, all this edited teaching. So there's such a wealth of information now that are accessible. And also Lama Yeshe. So all these things are now published and available. So it's not like there's no teachings anymore available. No, at the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, the students had to memorize what the Buddha told, and hopefully without too many mistakes, and then pass it on to the next generation or to their student. Whereas we have still recordings, right? So there's a lot of information there. Personally, still enjoy reading them and reflecting, because some of these are Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa both had a very unique style that you don't find in other teachers. You don't find in a Geshe. You know, their style was much more experiential. So it was just so beautiful the way they taught. And then I think there's newer student, you know. So for those, I think you know, there's a new generation of Lama coming up, like Ling Rinpoche, like Song Rinpoche, um, and many others, you know, still in India in the monastery, and they learn English, so there's a new wave coming up, right? So I think for newer students that need a teacher, you know, because yeah, they need that special relationship. So it's good, you know, to look for these lamas. Yeah. But now you see, no matter the outer teachers, you know, at the end of the day, we have to find our inner teacher, right? We have to awaken our inner teacher. We have to get in touch with our inner guru or our inner wisdom. Doesn't matter what you want to call it. So at the end of the day, the teacher is just a vehicle for you to become a Buddha, right? For you to become enlightened, for you to develop the wisdom and the compassion that our teacher embody, right? So the point is not to be a disciple forever, a student forever. We hope to graduate one day, right? and then ourselves becoming teacher and inspiration to others. So that's how Bodhisattva vows, right? Is we aspire and we make all what we can to become Buddha ourselves, so that we can manifest according to the need of the student and the time in myriad ways. So, so I think for people which are new to Buddhism, it feels that it might be a little bit archaic because many of the texts were written, between the 6th and 15th, 16th century. So the language is quite archaic, and the worldview is also not a very modern worldview. But if one looks at the essence, you see, Lama Yeshe had the knack. You say the knack? Yeah, to to take the essence out of, you see, this um, age-old tradition, and just take away the Tibetan culture aspect and just bring the essence, in a, into a 21st century. Sadly, Lama Yeshe didn't live very long. So I often feel what would have become if he lived 10 or 20 more years? What would have, it was just starting. So he started with us baby student, and, you know, so at the beginning he spoke very simply, like to babies, to children, his English was first limited, and then secondly, we were baby student, right? So he couldn't speak in very elaborate concept or very deep thing. So he simplified things so that it was understandable for us, right? So I wonder often, what would have become if he had taught, 20 more years or so. And then Lama Zopa Rinpoche, in a different style, also tried to, bring the tradition of the Lamrim into the graduate path to enlightenment, into the with modern example, modern stories, and yeah, in his unique way, he tried to also help us. I think all the methods are there, you see, for us actually to become like them. So, so in Mahayana Buddhism, one speaks about it takes three countless great aeon to become Buddha. Three cosmic period to reach enlightenment. So sometimes it feels a little bit discouraging. It thinks, wow, it takes so long. But one thing we don't know since how many lives we already are on the path, right? Since beginningless time, our consciousness is beginningless, right? So from lifetime to lifetime, and for many of us, we are on this journey already many lives. I remember once I was in the Root Institute in Bodh Gaya with Lama Zopa Rinpoche and a few other students, and they were looking to buy a land to expand the Root Institute, which actually never happened. I think they were looking for the land for Maitreya project. Um, so we were walking with Rinpoche around through the rice field with some realtor that had some land to offer. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I was walking closely, and he asked me, "How is Yannick?" And so that was a French monk, new monk, yeah, monk. That when so he was also a student of Ganchen Rinpoche, which was an Ital, a Lama that lived in Italy. And I think Ganchen Rinpoche told him that he was a reincarnation of some Lama or something. And so Yannick was going around from Lama to be recognized as a Rinpoche. So I told that to Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Oh yeah, Yannick. Oh yeah, he's going around from Lama to Lama, wanting to be enthroned, as a reincarnation, something like that. And Rinpoche looked like that and said, "Many of my students are Rinpoches." He said, "What karma do you think it needs in the 21st century in a far off country to follow that path, that Buddhist path, and even wanting to become ordained?" He said, many of my students are actually, you know, I should have asked, who. But I should, those days I was very sheepish, I didn't insist. But yes, if you think about it, you see we have many, many lifetimes. So what makes us, in the 20th century in the West, in a completely modern culture with a completely different value, that we are attracted to this tradition is it must have some kind of imprint somewhere, right? But obviously. So we don't know already how many lives we actually are a spiritual seeker, and try to. I mean, it's not that difficult. You don't need to be very smart to see that everyday life is meaningless, that it doesn't lead anywhere, right? Life has no purpose at all. No, ordinary life, completely meaningless. I mean, I lost maybe 5 or 6 people close to me the last 2 years. So one day they're part of your life, and the next moment they're gone forever. Gone. Never meet ever again. Gone. And we are here, and suddenly we disappear. And for the people that are left behind, oh, he's gone. Where? We don't know. He will never reappear. And then you think of all your relationship, all the friendship you cultivate in a life, you die, gone. No? And then all your beautiful project, enterprise in life, whether finish or not finish, you have to leave behind. And then think about all the money you earned in your previous lives. You came in this life, not a single dollar you were able to take with you. And this life, all what you accumulate, when you die, again, nothing you take with you. Life is completely silly. If you really think about it, completely meaningless. No? You know, we might as well just, wait and sit, till we die, because it doesn't have any meaning. And I remember when I was a kid, we used to read, I was Catholic, we used to read the Psalm of Solomon. And he also made that, uh, he reflected on life in his poems. Life is vanity, everything is vanity. It doesn't mean anything, Him with his kingdoms and his wealth and his wives. So it's useless. It all ends with death. No? And it's true, if you really reflect about impermanence and death, it's kind of all what we do. And the only thing that we take with us when we die is our mind. You see? So if you have a pure mind, if you're happy mind, if you if your mind is light and compassionate and joyous, so that's the mind that you go away with. But if you have a lot of fear, anxiety, possessiveness, attachment to people, to things, well, that's the mind that you go on with, right? So the only possession we have that goes on with us is our mind, our state of mind, right? So the more we are attached to people, to places, to objects, to things, so when you die, you cling, right? You cling to what you're losing. And that clinging mind makes you come back very quickly, because you're attached, you want to come back. Let's say a very simple example. You're attached to your coffee every morning, right? Well, when you die and you're in the bardo, comes 24 hours since you died, so the habit of having coffee will arise. Well, there's no coffee in the bardo, no Starbucks, you know. Uh, so so you have the attachment, the need for coffee will arise. So you will seek a place to get your coffee. No, it's very reincarnation is very simple. It is our attachment. Nobody pushes us to take rebirth. We come back willingly because of our attachments. If we didn't have any attachment, we wouldn't come back. We would go to higher dimension, but because we're here because of our attachments to people, to places, to sense pleasure, and so on. And when you think you had millions and millions of life, and still not enough, still we hadn't have enough partner, we still didn't have enough food or enough drink. It's we repeat the same thing again and again and again, same attachment. So we are never free, right? We are bound by this compulsion, attachment to things, to people, to places, you know, and these habits that we cultivated. So when we speak about rebirth under the control of karma and delusion, is our psychological makeup, right? We are not free. We have all our hang-ups. No? And because of these so rebirth doesn't come cheaply, right? So in the sense that, yes, okay, well, I would have to enjoy boyfriend, I would like to enjoy having children, I would like to enjoy having good food, yes. But then you have to pay the price, which is to take rebirth, being in a mother's womb for 9 months, and then being ejected through, a narrow passage, and being that little baby completely dependent on other. You're a grown-up adult, you have your independent life, and suddenly you are this small baby completely dependent on other. And then you hope you're in a good family, and you grow up, and then you start your life, and then the problems of that life arise, and then again aging, sickness, death, and again leaving everything behind and starting all over. So we have done that billions of times, and because of our amnesia, of death, we forget and we start all over again and again. So unless one really think about it deeply, you see, we are not entering the path to liberation. You know, we we leave Dharma like how to say Sunday school, or it's spirituality becomes a hobby. You know, we are not really serious about it. We don't really want to get out of cyclic existence. We don't have the fire, we don't have the power, we don't have the strength to make it happen. We make too many concessions to everyday life, and therefore we don't make it. Because if we had this determination to become free, we could make it, right? And it's not that difficult, and the methods are there, but we lack the fire. You know, we don't. It's like we are in jail and we make our cell nice. You know, we want to go out, but at the same time we make ourselves nice. You know, nice carpet. You know, let's let a tea set and things like that. You know, we put some curtain here and there. So we don't really want to get out. You know, we want to make it comfortable. And when you see the yogis of the past, that's not how they did it, right? They had that fire, and at any cost, even if it meant live poorly and being rejected by society, they accepted it and they had that fire. So we read the biography of these yogis and we admire them, but we don't think, oh, I can do it. Yeah, I can do like that. So we are like, they say in the teaching, like a needle with 2 points, right? So one part we want uh, to reach liberation, and the other part we want to enjoy cyclic existence, right? So we don't get anywhere. It doesn't work like that. So I think we all like to hear about bodhicitta. We all like to hear about emptiness, but we don't like to hear about suffering of cyclic existence and how to get the determination to be free. But actually, as long as we don't have that, the other two don't work. And Tantra doesn't work, right? We simply, the base, the power, the fire to get there is not there. We're too weak, you know? So if you really think beginningless time, what have we brought in this life from billions and billions of lives? And then if we don't make it in this life, what guarantee do we have that next life we have again the same good condition as we have in this life? We hope, we pray to go to the Pure Land, we pray to a precious human rebirth, to meet again teacher, but karma is so, how to say, we're billions and billions of life habit, no? And if you think how this planet degenerates, if you think about where to be reborn, even if you had the choice, it's challenging. And yet, you see, if one makes the effort, it's so close. So one of those methods is called Guru Yoga. You see, that's really the heart, the quick, how to say, the quick path to enlightenment is the practice of Guru Yoga. So how does that work? So you project, you see the quality you want to develop, you project them outside, right? Because you cannot yet uncover them, you cannot see them, you cannot see your own Buddha nature now. So you project in front of you those qualities in the form of the qualities that you see in your teachers or that you read in the biographies of lamas, of yogis and yoginis of the past. So the more you can see qualities in your spiritual teachers, in the Buddhas, the more you see qualities out there, it mirrors and it awakens this quality in you. So the more you see the qualities there, the more it mirrors, it awakens this quality in you, and you start what you see out there, you start recognizing within you. So one thing in the West, many people have a problem with low self-esteem or have a negative image of themselves, or they doubt about themselves, they doubt about their potential. So the Buddha taught you see that we all have this Buddha nature or this Buddha potential in ourselves. So that they are temporarily clouded by our mental affliction, by our desire, our attachment, our pride, jealousy, a low self-esteem. So all these, Lama Yeshe used to say, is like heavy blankets of, different layers of things that make you believe that you cannot do it. Maybe other people can, but I cannot. So many layers of thinking I cannot do it. Well, the Buddha taught, you see, um, in many sutra, how we all have this Buddha potential, and one day we'll become Buddha. So we have this Buddha nature in us, and to have that faith that you have this Buddha nature and that you can uncover it. So that's an incredible treasure if you have this faith, this belief that you can make it. And you cannot make it in a billion lifetimes, you can make it in this life. So with Tantra, you see this path that takes three countless great eons can be achieved in 14 lifetime, or even in 3 lifetime, or even in this lifetime, either at time of death when you reach, you see, in Tantra we speaks about the ordinary body and ordinary mind, then you speak about a subtle body, like a dream body within this body, and a subtle mind that is related to that subtle body. And then one speaks about a very subtle consciousness and a very subtle mind, a very subtle body. So in Tantra, you don't meditate with this body, you meditate with your subtle body, and you don't meditate with your ordinary mind, you meditate with a subtle mind. And hopefully, by doing that, you awaken your subtle energy in the body and mind, and then you hopefully, gradually, you discover your very subtle consciousness and your very subtle body. And if you're able to do that, you can reach enlightenment in the same life. If you can awaken in you your very subtle body and very subtle mind, that's your last life. No? So if you experience clear light and illusory body, then that's it. No? Within a few years, you can become omniscient. So the path in Tantra, the path can be very short, right? So it really depends on how we use our energy, how we channel. Yes. So the method of Guru Yoga is basically you take all these shortcuts, you see. So for example, in Hinduism, there's a number of yoga, right? Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, uh, Raja yoga, Kundalini yoga, yeah, all these yoga. And the supreme, the shortest is called the Bhakti yoga, right? The yoga of devotion. So it says in this time, this is the shortest path, right? In Hindu and in Tibetan Buddhism, in Buddhism or in Tantra also says, you know, Guru Yoga is the quickest path, right? That you take all the shortcuts, right? So if you single pointed devotion to this aspect of enlightenment and you purify your mind in a relationship with that, and then you absorb that in you, then it awakens all this quality within you, right? So that's a short path. So if you look at your mind, you know, our ordinary mind has all this memory from the past and experience of the present and anticipation or project for the future, right? And that mind um, has hope and fear and doubt about its capacity, all that. So if you can silence that mind, if you can understand that the nature of the mind is clear and knowing. So the mind itself is a space of pure awareness. And that pure awareness, so the thought, emotion, memory, habit is not in the nature of your pure awareness. Right? So if you can, what to say, mm, a sieve, I think a sieve, you know. So if you pass your mind through a sieve and you keep your thought and your emotion out, what is remain in your mind is just pure awareness, pure, clear awareness. And that pure awareness, if you sit with it, is like a crystal ball. Whatever question you have, in the silence of your mind, the answer comes, right? Just staring in the silence of your mind. You know, you know what you need to do. You know what the purpose of your life is. The wisdom is there in your own mind. So that's how you discover your Buddha nature or your Buddha potential. So uh, the practice of Guru Yoga, for example, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, So you visualize in front of you this enlightened being, Lama Tsongkhapa, that is the founder of the tradition we follow, right? So he lived in the 14th, 15th century and was a great yogi and a great scholar. And he did so much for Buddhism in Tibet. Um, so then he has two main disciples, Gyaltsabje, which was the elder one, and Kedrubje, that was the younger one. And when Lama Tsongkhapa passed away, so um, one became his successor, and then the second, when this one, the elder one passed away, then the second one became his successor. So they were the three first lineage holder of this tradition. So to to for it to become Guru Yoga, you don't just visualize them. You see them as inseparable from your own teacher. So for me, for example, I see Lama Tsongkhapa as His Holiness Dalai Lama, and I see Kedrubje as Lama Yeshe, and Kelsabje as Lama Zopa Rinpoche, right? So I have my three main teacher as inseparable from the three yogis of the past. So if you make that in your mind, it becomes so powerful blessing comes if you're able to mix the lineage Lama of the past with your present teachers. And then one makes, one, for example, with Lama Tsongkhapa, um, you know, the praise to Lama Tsongkhapa says, you are Chenrezi, great treasure of objectless compassion. You are Manjushri, Lord of stainless wisdom. You are Vajrapani, destroyer of Mara's forces. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of Tibetan sage. Losang Lapa, to you I pray. So while reciting that praise, you keep in mind that Lama Tsongkhapa or your gurus actually have the same wisdom than Manjushri, that they have the same compassion as Chenrezi, and the same power to overcome obstacle than Vajrapani. And then you receive blessing, from their chakra, you receive blessing into your chakra, and they open your chakra, and then they merge into one, and you absorb them into your heart, right? And you do that again and again and again, and really things start happening, due to the power of the practice, due to the power of your teacher, due to the power of Lama Tsongkhapa. Because you see, in Buddhist, you have three visions. So one vision is that, the Buddha lived 2,500 years ago. He became enlightenment and he benefited his student while he was alive. And then he passed into parinirvana. He kind of disappeared. So that's one vision of Buddhism. And a second vision in the Mahayana, so the Buddha was already enlightened before coming on earth, and he came and performed the 12 deeds of an enlightened being, and then he disappeared and went to his Pure Land, right? And in this fortunate end, there will be 1,000 Buddha coming to start a world religion when there's nothing there. So Shakyamuni Buddha was the fourth, and Maitreya Buddha will be the fifth, right? And now, at the present time, Maitreya Buddha is in this Pure Land of Tushita, where Lama Tsongkhapa and Atisha are, and other great beings. So they come from the Pure Land to the space in front of you, right? Whenever you think of a Buddha or a holy being, they are there because with their clairvoyance, they can see you, and with a fraction of a second, they can be there, right? So that's the Mahayana vision. The Vajrayana vision is again a little bit different. So in the Vajrayana vision, the omniscient mind pervades all being, pervades everything. So, and wherever is the omniscient mind, the subtle body, the energy body is there. So The omniscient mind of all the Buddha pervades everywhere, and also the space in front of you, also your own body, your own mind. So wherever you imagine the Buddha, he's there. He doesn't need to come from anywhere. He manifests from the omniscient mind that is there with you all the time, right? So it's just a matter of fine-tuning your awareness to that wavelength, and you can see, right? So, for example, um, mm, Asanga, one of the lineage lamas, so he wanted to have teaching from Maitreya Buddha, and he went into retreat, for 12 years. And he meditated, and every 3 or 4 years he would leave his retreat completely exhausted and wanting to give up. And then he saw something that encouraged him to go back to meditate, right? And after 12 years he finally saw Maitreya Buddha, you know and he complained to Maitreya Buddha. I said, look, I've been meditating for 12 years. You could have appeared a little bit earlier. Why did you take so long to manifest to me? And Maitreya Buddha said, I was there from the first day of your retreat, but you couldn't see me because your mind was too obscured. And as a sign of I was there since the first day, he showed his robe because Asanga used to spit in one corner of the room. And Maitreya Buddha showed his robe, how, where he spit in his corner, right? So to say, you see, the Buddhas, the deities you're practicing, actually they are there with you since the first day you started practicing. What prevents you from actually seeing that is the veil obscuration in the mind. And once these veils are removed, there they are, right? So that's the tantric perception. You see, they are there all the time. Is one's mental obscuration that prevents us from seeing them. But even though we cannot see them, they already start. They already work on us. You see, our sadhana, our practice, they are effective. It's just we cannot see how it works yet because our mind is too obscured. So then you absorb, that Buddha figure. Let's say Lama Tsongkhapa. You bring it into your heart, right? So the heart is the seed, not only of your subtle mind, but of your very subtle mind. So the guru, the Buddha with the enlightened qualities that you saw out there, so you bring him into your heart, right? And then you let him awaken in you your subtle and very subtle mind, you know. So enlightenment, the qualities are not found out there, they are found inside ourselves, in our heart. So enlightenment is not reached out there, enlightenment is reached in our heart. So there's nothing to be found out there. Everything is here in us. And the Guru Yoga is a powerful method to discover, to let you awaken this quality in you. And once you discover that, you see the peace, the joy, the bliss, the love, compassion, everything is there. And that inner peace, that inner joy, nobody can take it away from you, not even death. It's yours. Whereas all the other superficial thing of this life, everything is impermanent, everything is changing. You cannot hold on to anything. And therefore fear arises, doubt, attachment. Whereas in your heart, there's pure joy, pure bliss, pure love. All right, I think I've said enough for tonight. So do you have any questions or any comment? I think for the old student, you see, they've heard that many times from their teachers, right? So it's nothing they haven't heard before, right? And I think we all try in our way to experience that. So I think is to keep on have this focus, you see, this determination to become free for the sake of out of love and compassion for others. And if you make the Guru Yoga the heart of your practice, like we hear in the teachings, it really, really works, you know. One just has to persevere and be single pointed. And what do we have to lose, you know? We have everything to gain. And even if, you know, we don't make it in this life, but all the imprints you have made with Guru Yoga, you know, thinking about your Guru, thinking about the Buddha, thinking about Lama Tsongkhapa, Padmasambhava, and all these Milarepa and all these yogis. So that aspiration when you die, you know, so when you come out of clear light, so some of us might even reach enlightenment in clear light. You see, because once when you die, this subtle mind of clear light, you don't have any ordinary thought, you don't have any ordinary emotion. So an ordinary emotion cannot function with a subtle mind of clear light. They are too gross. So in that state of consciousness, you don't have a body with its needs. You have single-pointed concentration. So if you can use that consciousness to realize emptiness, you can become Buddha at the time of death, like Lama Tsongkhapa did, right? So he could have reached enlightenment earlier, but uh, he didn't want to do it, to keep the image of a monk, you know. So he waited the clear light of death to become omniscient. So I think each one of us will experience clear light, right? And normally one stays there up to 3 days. So can you imagine if you meditate during 48, 72 hours on emptiness with single pointed concentration? You might actually realize it, you know? And then that's it. From there you arise as the Sambhogakaya, right? So I think it's a good project, it's a good plan, you know, to think, oh, I will use the clear light of death, because there everything becomes easy. So if you have a correct mental image of emptiness, you see, if you have a correct understanding of emptiness, valid, then you cultivate that, and then at the clear light of that, it becomes a direct experience. Because there you have shamatha naturally. So I think it's really possible. And then if you don't make it, you reach out of the clear light of death in the bardo. But then in the bardo, from there you go to the pure land, you know, of the practice you do, basically. Because the imprint, the habit, the strong connection, the strong devotion you have to that Buddha figure or to that teacher, that that will that will be the imprint that will awaken when you come out of clear light, right? So from there, you know, at a minimum, you end up in the Amitabha Pure Land, because each Pure Land has certain level of requirement, right? So Amitabha Pure Land, the only requirement is your aspiration to go there. You rely not on your realization, you rely on Amitabha Buddha's realization. And when he reached enlightenment, Amitabha Buddha, uh, he had too much merit when he reached enlightenment. So I dedicate this extra merit from enlightenment so that whoever prays to me, you know, he will be born in my Pure Land. So in Amitabha Pure Land, you don't need any realization to get there, just aspiration, you know. So in certain tradition in Asia, they just recite Amitabha mantra, you know. I think Nigerian, what's that tradition? Something like that. Yeah. So they recite, you know, the mantra of Amitabha all the time. And just to be born in Amitabha Pure Land. They don't do any other practice. And then in Tibetan Buddhist also, there's the Amitabha initiation and reciting the mantra. And then there are other practices that's just reciting the King of Prayer, you know, the Avasam, the Samantabhadra's aspiration prayer that's found in the Avatamsaka Sutra. So there is incredible aspiration of Samantabhadra. So if one recite those, you know, also one creates the cause to be born in Amitabha Pure Land. And then I think other Pure Lands you might have need of bodhicitta, and some might need realization of emptiness, no? And some might need pure samaya, you know, tantric. Uh, some might need realization of generation stage. Some might need realization of completion stage. So there's different level of pure land with different level of requirement. But I think one can hope on the first one and develop qualities and hope to, kind of like that, to go from Pure Land to Pure Land till enlightenment. I think, you see, we have all these attachment, and it's so hard to get free of them. We're so, um, yeah, it's like honey. We stuck into this sticky stuff. But the more one becomes free of that, the more there's peace, more there's joy. You know, we think mental affliction as something pleasant. We think attachment as something nice. You know, we think our loved one as something nice. You know, we attach to all these people and places and objects. But when the mind becomes free of these attachments, wow, it's so nice. And you wonder how you could get stuck in all these things. The mind that is free is so nice, so peaceful, so joyous. So to make the effort to try to become free is really worthwhile. And we can all make it. It doesn't even need that much time. It's just a matter of decision. I want to make it or I don't. Lama Zopa Rinpoche translates one of the Guru Yoga. Bless me to develop the thought of no need in my mind. That word no need. I don't need anything. That state of mind of not needing anything or anyone. Wow, it's so freeing. It doesn't mean you cannot enjoy things or enjoy people, but you don't need them. It's a very different thing. There's no string being pulled on your heart. You're completely free. Things are there. Oh, thank you. Oh, very nice. Things are not there. No problem at all. Why? Because you have this joy, this peace inside. You don't need these things. You can enjoy them, but you're not attached to them. So how do you get that realization? Is by wanting have this determination to become free, to understand emptiness, and to have this great love for all sentient beings. So these qualities help you to get to this state of no need. Also, I think, okay, Lama Zopa Rinpoche has passed away, Lama Yeshe passed away. But actually, you see, if you take this tantric image, Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa, they're still with us all the time, right? The omniscient mind pervades all phenomena. The subtle body is there. So it's just us to have that conviction and put your mind to that wavelength, right? So you see, we pray Padmasambhava or Milarepa. So where are they? Right? Well, they're here. Just you have to attune your mind to that wavelength and have that faith that they are there. So I think for many of us, you see, having, I'm quite fortunate. I met the Lamas, I was 21. So I spent, now I'm 66, so more than 40 years, these lamas have nourished my mind, right? So, for example, I think in the West there was a movie called What Would Jesus Do? Have you heard that one? No? I haven't seen it, but I like the title. In any situation, you imagine what would Jesus do in my place, you know? So I often think, what would Lama Yeshe, what Lama Zopa Rinpoche would do at my place? What would they do? You know? Because being around them for so many years, so I imagine what they would do. So I don't feel like they're very far, I feel they're very close because, yeah, I think, and their wisdom still try to help us. If we connect, they still try to help us. And if you know, bring them to mind and you sit silently in your heart, you know, with having chased away your doubt and your delusion with meditation on emptiness, or with your pure mind, pure light energy body and pure mind, and you just sit there quietly thinking about them with your question, somehow answer come, you know, intuition come. In the West, we call that intuition, right? So you just connect to those beings and their level of realization, and you just stare in your mind. You just peacefully wait, you know. And actually, it's like in your heart, it's like looking into a crystal ball, you know. Just stare there, and somehow some kind of certainty, some kind of answer come, a peaceful certainty. Oh, that's what I should do. Mm. And then there's methods like divination, so different practice of divination, with Shenrezi, with Manjushri, with Palden Lamo, things like that. So if one feels a connection with that, one can also confirm one's intuition, or, you know, do this kind of practice. So for the younger, yeah.
There's a question from the chat from Morgan. She says, "Thank you, Venerable René. My question is, if you're newer or may not have a strong relationship with a teacher, how can one work with Guru Yoga in the meantime?"
Mm. So there are, I think, by reading biographies of lamas of the past, of yogis of the past. So if, for example, the Christians, they have never met Jesus, they have never met Mary, right? But they somehow, by reading stories about them, they get inspired, and then they pray and they practice Guru Yoga with Jesus and with Mary, right? They've never met them. So in Buddhist same, right, you can read a biography, let's say Milarepa or Padmasambhava, or Lama Tsongkhapa, or, Tara. So you have these uh, archetype of enlightenment that inspire you, right? And then you connect to that, see, and you practice your Guru Yoga on that, and then it works, right? So you can do like that until you feel that as a human being that embodies this quality, that you have this connection, right? But meanwhile, and also some beings during a whole life they don't meet their guru, right? In that life, somehow they don't meet, right? But they can still practice Guru Yoga and get all these benefits by focusing on teacher from previous lives. Sorry, yes, from these beings of the past, right? And they represent this archetype of enlightenment and they connect to that. Yeah, I think, some of us, we might have a guru in past lives. And in this life, somehow we don't meet our heart guru, somehow the karma doesn't make it happen, you know, and then maybe next life we meet our heart guru in another life, right? So it's not that in each life you find that heart connection, right? So, for example, some of you in one life you might find the love of your life, and in sometime in that life it doesn't happen. So, same, karma sometimes is there, sometimes in one life it's not there, but it doesn't mean one cannot make progress, right?
Thank you very much, Venerable René. You was mentioning about all the time of death of clear light. If somebody recognize and can, realize the emptiness and arises sabakarai form, I was thinking about how is it's technically like possible that people who probably don't not practice tantra can do same, but it would be possible for them to arise as samvakai. And if some like mostly view there is no enlightenment without Vajrayana.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible without highest yoga tantra. Right, so the seed has to be awakened in that relationship with your guru, right? So you need to receive the 4 initiations, so it awakens this seed in your subtle body. Yeah, it starts opening the chakras and things like. So it plants the seed of this realization. Yeah, so this is limited to highest yoga tantra, right?
And which state supposed to be kind of realization to make it possible to get enlightened if in the time of death?
Huh? Before death?
Before death, yeah.
Well, so it would be the tantric path of seeing. So if you reach the tantric path of seeing, so then that would be your last life. So when you're able to awaken the mind of clear light, and with the mind of clear light, so if you're able to open your heart chakra, and so you have so you have two experience of that clear light. You have the clear light of example and the clear light of meaning. So if you meditate with a valid conceptual image of emptiness with a mind of clear light, so that would be the example clear light, and you would come out of that experience with the impure illusory body. So in the break time, you help other with your impure illusory body, and then in meditation, you go back into clear light and you keep on meditating on emptiness till it becomes a direct perception of emptiness. In a sense, there's no separation between the observer, the meditator's mind, and the object emptiness. The two fuse together. not only is the subject and object disappear, but the veil of the conceptual image, that veil disappear. And when you're in emptiness, you only experience emptiness. So that would be the meaning clear light. And when you come out of that experience, you would arise as the pure illusory body. So in the break time, you would help. So other people would see you as an ordinary physical body, but you will be like a hand in a glove, right? So other people see you that, but you don't see yourself. You actually feel you are this light energy body inside this physical body. And then, so with a clear light, with meaning clear light, so there's the moment where you absorb into meditation clear light, meaning clear light, and then you come out of this of that experience with your pure illusory body, and then when you're able to merge both, so the meaning clear light with the pure illusory body, when there's no more meditation and post meditation, when the two become completely one, this is called the state of Vajradhara, or the unified state of enlightenment, right? So these experiences happen once you, so the path becomes very quick once you reach this meaning clear light mind, right? If you can reach that in this life, then in a few years, you get through the remaining steps.
Unification, you said it would be deity and emptiness, no separate, like always will present.
No, clear light is the experience of your most subtle mind. So at our moment, our subtle body is not awakened, right? We how to say, we experience the ordinary body and the ordinary mind, right? So, and when we meditate on love and compassion, we do so with the ordinary mind. When we meditate on emptiness, we do with the ordinary mind, right? So in Tantra, on the let's say I don't speak about the lower Tantra now, with the highest Yoga Tantra. So due to the generation stage, you start awakening your subtle body and you start experiencing the subtle mind, right? So, so the generation stage is mostly due to the blessing of the visualization, the blessing of the Buddhas, the blessing of the Guru, the accumulation of merit, making offering and receiving blessing again and again. So it start awakening your subtle body. And then on the completion stage, once your central channel and the chakra a little bit awaken, so then you have this practice of the completion stage starts when you start entering the wind into the central channel, when you start being able to isolate yourself from the gross body, right? So instead of being in the gross body, you go into the central channel. So you go to the eighth vision of the death, and you actually, within the meditation session, you're inside the central channel, right? So you experience a subtle mind of bliss, and you use that to meditate. So through practice like Tumo, inner fire, Vasha recitation, and so there's different approach, dealing with wind drop and channel. So you clean there, so you awaken the subtle body, and then basically the completion stage starts when you're able to enter the central channel and meditate there, so that you experience a subtle mind, right? But now to experience the very subtle mind, you have to open all the chakra even more, and especially the one at the heart, which is the most difficult to open. So you have to to crack open the heart chakra, and there inside is the mind of clear light, right? The most subtle mind of clear light. And then once you experience a very subtle mind of clear light and you meditate with that on emptiness, then that is the stage where you reach enlightenment in that life. But many yogis and yoginis cannot reach that stage in this life to open the heart chakra, right? So often it says you need the help of a spiritual partner, you know. So to get to the level of your wind entering the central channel is possible alone, but to open the heart chakra, you need a spiritual partner to help each other to open the heart chakra. And if you're not able to do that, then the next option is at the time of death, because at the time of death it opens naturally, you know. So at the time of death, the heart chakra opens naturally, and you experience the most subtle mind of clear light. So if you have done all the steps before that, so then you can actually, if you're ready, you can use this mind of clear light of death and reach enlightenment there, right? We should all aspire to do that. If we are ready, I think, you know, Lama Yeshe used to say, you know, the best meditation is the time of death. That's what we're going to have, the best meditation we ever had. That was when we die. So if we are ready, we can use that. No? If we are not ready, then we just go to the experience of clear light, and out of imprint and habit, we go into the bardo and we take a next rebirth.
Thank you very much, Venerable. And just more clarification for when the clear light realized with emptiness and the illusory body, is it naturally will be kind of accomplished through that or not?
What's the question? I don't understand.
The question is when clear light, the most subtle clear light, realize emptiness, for example, at time of death, the unification with the illusory body and clear light, it's happened naturally, or it's something?
Yes, yes. So if you realize the Dharmakaya, so the Dharmakaya becomes unified with the Sambhogakaya, the Nirmanakaya. So, or you would call these together the Rupakaya.
And for somebody who practices other way, they practice illusory body, it's just complementary to realize clear light.
Usually you practice, generation stage. So you train in imagining yourself as a Buddha figure. And then on the completion stage, you start actually creating with your mind, your subtle energy, that subtle body. So it's not anymore just an imagination. It's not just a mental image. It's something more. Something you can feel. So because you train in the form of a Buddha, so once you meditate on clear light, in between session, you come out of that clear light. So you have this illusory body you have trained yourself to develop, right? And then gradually this illusory body gets purified because at the beginning it's still stained by your concept of inherent existence, right? So you have to realize emptiness also on the illusory body. You have to realize that it's empty of inherent existence. So like now, you see, if you speak on the sutra path, right? So your body appear to be sitting here, but there's nobody sitting here. Right? In reality, the body is merely labeled by the mind. There's nobody there. There's nobody there at all. It has never been a body there. So this you can experience. There's nobody there, yet the body exists as a mere projection by the mind, as a mere imputation by the mind. So as you do that with the gross ordinary body, you do the same thing with your light energy body, or the illusory body. So you train like that. Your light energy body doesn't exist from its own side. It's merely imputed by the mind. Doesn't exist at all there. And like that, so you get a conceptual image of the emptiness of your body, and you focus on that till it becomes a direct experience. So you see, the problem we have is that our mind is so busy, so scattered, so we cannot really meditate, you see, because our mind is not functioning properly. Whereas if you develop a certain level of calm abiding, everything becomes possible. You know, they say, for example, one day of meditation with calm abiding is like 7 years without it, right? You see the different quality of the mind, of the meditator's mind, right? So you do one meditation on the emptiness of the body, is like having done it for 7 years. You get the same result in one meditation. So to spend some time to calm down the mind is so important, you know. Then renunciation comes easily, bodhicitta easy, emptiness easy, because we know the method, we know how to get it. You see, we know the method, but the mind hasn't the foundation for it to make it work properly. You see, so that's why in my retreats that I lead, half the time we do calm abiding, you know, just because the analytical meditation don't really work if you don't have a calm mind. You know? So I think so important. I think you see in Tibet, because of their lifestyle, you know, looking after yaks and sheeps and you know the information they had it was about their village and 2, 3 villages around, you know. So their mind was naturally calm. There wasn't much going on. Whereas us in the modern day, we have an overload of information. So for us, when we sit down, yeah, so we need first, you know, to settle the mind. So I think most of our problem as Western is not that we are not intelligent. It's not that we don't know the path, that we don't know how to discriminate between right and wrong, or between the method that is suitable for us or not. Is we lack this calm mind to make it work. So the Tibetan lamas, what they say for developing this calm is to purify and accumulate merit. You know, that's their way of saying you have to clean the mind. But for us, you see, because we start with a much more agitated mind than theirs, you know, we need also to spend time calming the mind. You know? And I think it's not that difficult actually. You know, you just need to focus 5 minutes on anything you like, you know, and you do 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and then it accumulates, you know. Yeah. See, I don't think you need always to have the same object. because in terms of calm abiding, it's the same. Right? So if you develop stillness on one thing, you can develop the stillness on anything. So I think at the beginning, what is useful is to use any pleasurable experience you have, because the mind naturally likes pleasure. So the mind wants to stick with what's pleasurable. So whatever is pleasurable to you, you just stay with it. And because it's pleasurable, the mind wants to stay with it. The mind is not interested to follow distraction, right? So anything pleasurable for you, just focus on it. So I don't think it's I don't think it's so difficult. So when I worked a little bit more on calm abiding, I went to see Chodan Rinpoche, Kiti Sanchab Rinpoche, and a few other lamas. And they, according to their tradition, you have to stick with the same object to go to the 9 stages, right? So, but I, when I want something, I keep on asking Lama till I get the answer I like, That's how I function. Then I always find a Lama that tells me what I want to hear, right? So I want to ask Kadrola, and I told her, actually, I have 3 objects when I meditate on calm abiding. So I take the ordinary space like nature of the mind when you reach uh, the 9th stage of the absorption of the death absorption, so that I meditate on the clear and knowing nature of the mind. And then after a while, I meditate on the emptiness of that, right? And then I go on with the sadhana, and then before the recitation of the mantra, I stop and I meditate on myself as a Buddha image. So I have 3 objects. So I told that to Kadra. Yeah, I said, yeah, I told her, yeah, Kitty Sencha Rinpoche says you just need one object. Shouldn't Rinpoche says that. And then she said, I'm doing like you do. I said, oh, thank you so much. I don't know whether she did that to please me or what. Anyway, she said so. I'm very happy. But I think, in daily life, whatever helps you to calm your mind, whether you go for a walk, go for a walk or sit on a bench and watch the ocean, or look at a flower, or play with your cat. Whatever in your daily life calms your mind, enjoy that and realize that it calms your mind, and discover the beauty of having a calm mind. Look how peaceful how peaceful you feel when you enjoy something, you know. So you cultivate this little experience of peace that you naturally have in your everyday life, and once you understand how to calm your mind with playing with a cat or watching at the sunset, once you know how to calm your mind with those, then you can calm your mind without the need, without the help of outer sense experience. Okay, I think that's enough. Huh? So, so whatever positive energy we have generated tonight, so may our aspiration to become free from cyclic existence under the control of karma and delusion, may that aspiration become stable in our heart. And then by realizing that all our partner, children, friends, and all living beings are exactly in the same predicament as us, may we generate this wish to, by ourselves alone, to free each and every one from their problem and lead them to the highest happiness of enlightenment. And may we able to realize emptiness. Or I prefer nowadays to use the word dependent rising. So if we're able to realize how things exist as a mere designation by the mind. So that's the ultimate key to free us from all our mental affliction. The more we focus on dependent rising, the more our mental afflictions become weaker and thereby becoming free. And may we in this life, in all future life, always meet qualified spiritual teacher. And may we from the start have a right connection with them so that our ego doesn't come in the way. So that we humbly follow that teacher and let him guide us to enlightenment. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you. Keep it for the center. No.
Please
I
come
don't-
back. Please
yeah.
come back soon.
Good night. I will chit chat a little bit with my friends here.